Alright, welcome back to Roguetech, and welcome back to your first Roguetech playthrough. So, there's going to be one more thing that I touch on before we actually build the initial mech builds before traveling. So, this is an interesting thing that is a little bit difficult to understand sometimes. If you, well, AMS. There are two types of AMS primarily. The AMS like this that fires ballistic ammunition, and laser AMS that just uses lasers and generates heat. So, we'll touch on laser AMS once we get there. We'll touch on the asterisk after two types of AMS once we find what we need to talk about there. But since we have an AMS and especially the high explosive ammo, this is how AMS works. When missiles are incoming, the AMS will fire up to however many times that AMS will fire, and each of those shots will have a hit chance on, or an intercept chance on the incoming missiles. For this particular system, in standard mode, it will fire 10 times per round, and it has a 55% missile intercept chance. So, the number of rounds it fires per activation, each AMS can only activate once per salvo of missiles. So even if you're being shot by 10 different LRM-5s in a single shot, it will only activate once. If you're being shot by 10 different mechs that each have an LRM-5, it can activate all 10 times. As far as I know, it will not fire more shots than it needs to destroy all the missiles. So if all the missiles are destroyed in the first 15 shots of the activation, I don't think it fires all 30 shots. But the intercept chance. This one has a 55% intercept chance. So whenever it fires, if there are missiles incoming, it'll fire 30 shots, each of which has a 55% chance to hit a missile. If it hits a missile, normally this AMS would do 1 damage to the missile. Each missile has a set number of hit points. For example, this SRM ammo, each missile has 3 hit points. So the AMS has to hit the same missile 3 times to destroy the missile and prevent it from hitting you. Even if all 30 shots of the activation hit, if you're being shot by 10 LRM, or, well, if all 30 hit, it would need to be more than 10, but say you're getting shot by 20 SRMs. If those 30 shots, if each missile only gets hit twice by those 30 shots, even if all 30 shots hit, none of the missiles will be destroyed and you'll still get hit by all of them. So, AMS, if you're stacking it, can completely obliterate missile salvos. But a single AMS on its own might struggle to intercept even just an SRM-6 if you have bad rolls and if the same missiles aren't getting hit multiple times. One thing you can do about that, however, is use the different specialty ammo. So, this high explosive ammo, the thing that's most notable about it is the AMS deals +2 damage to missiles. So, what that means is each shot of the AMS with the 55% intercept chance, instead of having to hit an SRM missile 3 times, it only has to hit it once. So even though it only fires half of the normal shots, so with this particular AMS system, it will fire 15 shots. But any of those 15 that hit will destroy even an SRM with its 3 hit points. The only missiles that have more than 3 hit points are the big ones, the Thunderbolts, the Arrows, etc. But AMS is definitely the best ammunition, or high explosive AMS ammo is the best ammunition for taking down those bigger missiles as well, because it works on the same principle. Instead of having to hit a 5 hit point missile 5 times, it only has to hit it twice. So, that's the important thing about the AMS ammo here. It does have a jam chance, but that's kind of whatever. If the AMS jams, alright. It's fine. But yeah, so Yeah, you'll also see Lance mode. So previously, the only AMSs that were really worth bringing were the ones that would protect the entire Lance instead of just the mech carrying it, because the odds of that one particular mech being targeted was relatively low. However, they have made it so that just about any AMS can protect just about the whole Lance. There is the range that within which it can activate, so if the missiles are not flying within 150 meters of this AMS, even in Lance mode, it won't be able to do anything. But if you have the missiles flying past, near, or over you, or directly targeting you, this AMS will be able to activate. So, the Lance mode does increase the increase the heat, reduce the accuracy, and gives it a jam chance of 20%. So the jam chance of 20% plus the jam chance of 20% on the AMS high explosive is not 40%. It's first a 20% roll and then a 20% roll. So it comes out to actually a little bit less than 40% because math. But it is still a significant jam chance. So if you are using it in Lance mode instead of just using it to protect this mech, it will jam pretty often. But it was already going to be able, it was already going to have a chance of jamming from the high explosive ammo anyway. So that is the last detail to cover from all of the equipment that we have on our mechs. So let's get to actually building. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look, and these SRM Valiants, I don't think I actually want them with the LBX. Do I? So we already have the cluster, so if we're shooting a mech that's open, we already have the cluster shot to potentially crit. So while we could keep the SRM Valiants on this mech, so that if somebody's open, it will have an incredibly high chance of critting with all of its weapon systems, we could spread it out a little bit so that if there are no targets that are open, we could potentially shoot with the LBX to open them and then follow up with something else to crit them out. That said, you can just fire the LBX first and then have the SRMs follow. So that's kind of whatever. I think we'll wait on that to see what else we're going to be doing, but we'll put a pin in it. So now that we've got everything all sorted, we definitely want to take the Pharaoh and Indo off of this mech. We're not going to put them both on the Assassin like we were going to. The Indo is now going to go on our Bushwhacker. And in order to get this to work, we had decided we were going to drop jump jets. And I think I'm actually going to also drop the last two so that I can armor up. And I'm actually not going to do anything yet. I'm just going to drop everything, drop everything I'm taking off of it. So we have 0 days of work being done. We can, if necessary, drop it like this, drop it a little bit light, not a big deal. I'm actually going to leave those two, just in case we end up dropping it before we do anything else to it. Because we're going to try to manage our days of work alongside the travel times. But, Assassin, I absolutely want to see what we can do with just the Pharaoh. Yeah, just the Pharaoh is only actually giving us just under half a ton. And if I remember correctly, we needed more than that to be able to run the enhanced LRM that we got. Let's see. Weapon. Enhanced LRM. We'll put the LRM 5 on that side. We'll put the enhanced LRM on this side. Yeah. We do need more tonnage. So even though I would like to put, because we still need ammo, even though I would like to put the Indo on the Bushwhacker, I think it is better to put it on the Assassin. Not only will we have the tonnage for ammo, then we will also have the tonnage for more armor. And the Bushwhacker already has a good amount of armor. I would like to put more on it, but for now, it's a good amount of armor. Ooh, alternatively, actually, since the LBX has a really good range, we could take the SRMs and put them... No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna stick to... Then again, the Indo will save more tonnage on the 55-tonner. So it's 2.75 tons. Just to sketch it out. As long as we don't commit to it, we're not wasting any time or money. And we're not ruining anything. So if I were to take all of that, put the enhanced LRM, maybe grab that LRM 5 and put it on the other arm, and then have plenty of tonnage for ammo. Armor up. We're just looking at max front armor, because especially with this long-range payload, with this long-range payload, we would never really need to get in a position where our back was to the enemies. So that would allow us to actually skimp on the back armor a bit. So we have the large laser, which can fire up to 840. The ER large laser, I should say. We have the LBX, which fires up to 720 unless we're using the slug, in which case it's 840. And then we'd also have the LRM, the enhanced of which can fire 900. Actually, even without an LRM 5, I could also drop the heatsink, the engine heatsink. Yeah, I think that's how we're gonna do it. So we need to look around. We need to figure out what LRM ammo. A single bin of 120 missiles would give us 12 Alpha Strikes, and that's sufficient. So we could have a single bin of ammo. And then, with that single bin of ammo, we'd have another roughly 3/4 of a ton to put in back armor. And then our Bushwhacker would be pretty solid for a while. I think we're going to do that. I think we're actually going to do that. So, just looking in the menu, or in the, just looking down here at this. So we have Deadfire ammo. Which also, if you want the full information on anything that I do not directly address, like this, I'll make mention that you could check it on the wiki. Until we actually are building with the stuff, I'm not going to directly draw attention to it. But Deadfire shorthand is just a way to use LRMs close up if somebody gets within your minimum range. That's primarily what Deadfire ammo is for. It does do additional damage and stability damage, but it's primarily for if somebody undercuts your range. Yeah, we definitely don't need 2 bins of ammo on the Hornet. But if we're not putting the enhanced LRM on the Assassin, that means this is going to become an SRM build. But again, that requires us to use the LRM, the Indo-Steel and the Bushwhacker. But I think I'm fine with that. So, what we're going to do... Yeah. We're going to go ahead and drop the swarm ammo here. We're going to go ahead and come in here and drop the bin of regular ammo. Alright. And you'll notice that, again, I'm doing all these things that take 0 days, so they're instantly happening, and I still don't have any work queued in the timeline. And that's important whenever you're first building mechs, is to just try to make sure that everything, for the most part, is done in an efficient way where you're not wasting time before you can drop on your first mission. If we have extra time traveling, then we will be able to do more, but just focusing on one thing at a time is very helpful. And that is, I believe, all the LRMs we have. Alright. So we are then ready to build the Bushwhacker. Dropping in the Indosteel, again dropping the SRMs, which I was already planning on doing anyway. I had considered, I should say. I had considered doing anyway. Adding the Enhanced LRM 10. I'm also going to drop the case for the aforementioned reasons. High explosive ammo. Which side would our shield side be? Would we have a shield? I don't think we would have a shield side. We'll get to shield sides once we actually are in a mission. It's a lot easier to explain when I can show things. Positioning and torso twisting. And I think instead of using the swarm, I think I would, because it's an enhanced LRM 10. So a standard LRM does 5 damage per missile, so the minus 50% means you're doing 2 damage per missile, but you're doing 2 guaranteed damage with the area of effect. So you're doing 4 damage if the missile still hits, basically trading 1 damage on the target for 2 damage AoE. Very effective. However, with the enhanced LRM, the 7 damage goes down to 3. So you're trading 2 damage for the area of effect. Still good if you're not, you know, if you don't have a high hit chance, but I think we would definitely be better off using the single bin of regular. So we've got 12 shots with the LRM, 20 shots with the LBX, our large laser, and our AMS. That's a solid loadout. And again, actually, does the max armor button work? Sort of. It used to do weird things if you didn't have enough tonnage to actually max the entirety of the armor. It still is a little bit odd in that it prioritized the back armor over the front armor. But, yeah, it's fine. Alright, so we got our front armor all maxed. We need to shave off 1 ton. Yep, just back armor. Then again, that's... Did I miss something? I could have sworn with all of the armor maxed and with... Because I thought we were going to have... It's fine, actually. I definitely don't want to take any armor off the legs since we do have the ammo in it. Oh, and one reason why I just dropped the case without even thinking about it here is because we do have an extra large or extra light engine, XL, and that means if one of our side torsos explode, the mech falls and is potentially lost. So even locking the explosion to the side torso effectively wouldn't help any. So that's just saving us a ton by dropping the case. Although if our ammo explodes on our legs, we're probably still going to lose the mech anyway because of the XL engine, but it's fine. We have... Did it really have that low of back armor? Well, we do have a shield arm, an arm that has literally nothing in it and doesn't have a hand, so it's not like we're going to be really punching with it. So I think I'm actually going to strip a little bit of armor off there. You still don't want to just have no armor, because once the arm is blown off, any hits that would go to the arm are instead transferred to the torso structure, completely bypassing the armor and potentially critting things. So it's still important to keep it intact if we can, but if it does get blown off, it's a lot less, you know, catastrophic than somebody getting on our back and doing something there. Maybe 1 off the center. Okay. No, I will take it off the arm. Yeah. So we got a shield arm with 70 armor and 45 structure. That's still 115 early game. That is more than enough. Our ammo is all in our legs. Our front armor everywhere but our shield arm is completely maxed out on a 55-ton mech. So we should be good unless somebody gets behind us for the majority, if not all, of the early game. So yeah, that's 21 days. Oof. But it's worth it, because after those 21 days, we are not going to have to touch the bushwhacker unless it explodes at any point. Now, we could, with those 21 days, just travel and do things, and then once we got wherever we're going, drop the bushwhacker, Phoenix Hawk, stealth, and locust. But I would like to still get the assassin at least started. So we're going to drop in the Pharaoh, and that already is 1 day and 40,000 C-bills, but that's fine. We are going to drop the Elerum 5. And I think we're actually going to keep the SRM LK ammo here and give it the SRM Valiance. Actually, hold on. Before we do that. Before we do that. So, I'm thinking the assassin needs more armor to really be, like, putting good quality components in it. The stealth has the same mobility. Also has 2 missile hardpoints. And we can replace the SRM 6 and Streak 2 with the SRM 4s. What does that look like, actually? Let's just look at that real quick. So the SRM 4 Valiance, and then we would be able to put the SRM and Inferno bins here. We would still have a ton left over, which we could then use on more armor. And this entire process would take 5 days. Plus the armor adjustment. That is an option. But again, if we arrive, I don't want to have to wait for 2 mechs to potentially finish. I want to be able to drop as soon as the bushwhacker's ready. So we're going to leave the stealth as is for now. And give the assassin the SRM Valiance. So, there's that. Bin of SRM ammo. And I'm actually going to leave it right like that for now. No. No, wait. I know, I'm being very indecisive, but I'm trying to think. And I think before I commit to the decision, let's look at the navigation screen. I'm not going to go in depth into what I'm thinking. I'm just doing a general check. We have a half skull planet there, 20 days away. Yeah, so we can get to a early game planet before the bushwhacker's even finished. So we are in no rush. We're not even going to mess with it. We're going to wait. We're going to wait to start on anything else until we have a second mech bay or the bushwhacker's finished. Which means it's time to head to engineering. I already mentioned this in, I believe, the one of the other Comprehensive Guide series videos. Mech Bay 2 is an incredibly high priority because Mech Bay 2 does get you the ability to repair 2 mechs at the same time. Not critical until after you're on, after you've dropped on the first mission and you're trying to repair your mechs between missions, but it is a very critical early buy. Training Module 1 is also a very critical early buy, because the sooner you get it online, the sooner you start getting experience on the mech warriors you're not actively dropping, and any mech warriors you're actively dropping between missions, unless they're injured. If they're just fatigued, it's fine, they're still getting the experience, but if they're injured, they're not. So even if you're just waiting for fatigue days between missions, you're still getting the passive experience gain on your active team of mech warriors. And those two are honestly the absolute highest priority, but the first decision is very easy. Those both require power conduits. So that's what we're going to build right now. And you saw that's 90,000 that we just dropped, roughly. We're going to need 600,000 for Mech Bay 2. We're going to need another 300,000 to get Mech Bay 2 working 100%. So that's 900,000, half of our money. And then training modules is luckily only 90,000. So we are looking at half of our C-bill balance right now going straight to upgrading the Argo, which is very important. With that understanding, we're going to go back to the store. And I did mention I would really love to have that Guardian ECM. 1 million C-bills is going to upgrading the Argo. We already have most of our mechs in the position where we're going to start dropping them, ready and waiting. So I am going to spend, now that I've confirmed everything that I intend to do in the mech bay, I am going to spend the 250,000, which is, again, half of this is already spent, or is already set aside for the Argo, which means this is 1/4 of our current balance that we have to work with. But it's a very worthwhile investment. Getting a Guardian ECM on a frontline mech to run amongst the enemies and create, chaos and havoc is great. Having it on a long-range support mech to protect that mech better is great. Which means either the Bushwhacker, if we can get more tonnage, or one of the shorter range mechs. All of them are valid and viable and worthwhile targets. Or whatever. Worthwhile people or mechs that could potentially carry the Guardian ECM. So that will find its way onto one of our mechs sooner than later. However, we are probably going to drop on the first mission with the Phoenix Hawk, Stealth, Locust, and Bushwhacker as they currently are. So it's a slight investment into the next thing. And that is where I'm going to call it. Because the next step, the next considerations, now that we have 21 days worth of mech base set aside, 10 of which is the power conduits being repaired. Well, I'll go ahead and touch on that. So, assuming we went straight for Mech Bay 2, power conduits is 10 days. Mech Bay 2 is another 10 days, which means we will only have something other than the Bushwhacker being worked on for 1 day by the time the Bushwhacker's finished. So we don't need to do anything else in the mech bay until we get the Bushwhacker finished and are starting to drop on missions. So, next, tomorrow, we're going to be traveling to our starting planet, because even though we started on Outreach, I'll just go ahead and mention that. We started on Outreach. Outreach is a 3-skull planet. We do not have mechs that can comfortably and safely handle 3-skull missions yet. Once we've fixed up the Phoenix Hawk, the Stealth, and the Assassin to be better, yes, this team, the 4 medium mechs we have, would be able to handle a 3-skull mission, probably, if we played it well. But this is your first Roguetech playthrough. It's always better to play cautiously until you're comfortable and confident with your team, how they fight together, and with what mission types you are comfortable dropping on at what difficulty. And the best way to figure that out is to start with the easiest, lowest difficulty missions you can, and then work your way up. So, that has been your episode of Roguetech for the day. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, have a good one.